Hi, everyone. I'm JC Bander, and I'm on the Learning and Development team here at GitLab, and I'll be taking you through this career conversations with your manager session today. Just a reminder that this is part of our career development skill of the month that we have going on this month in August, and we will have more sessions next week on having career conversations with your direct reports. So the invites went out today, so you should see that on your calendar for next Thursday. The objectives for today are learning to discuss career development with your manager, identifying different ways to approach your manager on difficult topics about career development, and then illustrating how to develop at your current level. So we'll have 3 breakout rooms or 3 breakout sessions. And so there will be 2 scenarios on the next slide that you can pick from in your group, and make sure you nominate someone in your group to summarize when we come back. I'm not sure that all groups will get to share, just with the amount of people here and the number of groups that we'll have, but just be prepared to share if there's something you talk about in your group. You can utilize the agenda to take notes, and you'll have 6 minutes in your breakout group, but the previous session, they told me to tell you you only have 3 minutes so that you talk faster. So just note that 6 minutes goes by pretty fast. And then if you get through one scenario, feel free to go on to the next one, and we will come back to debrief, and we'll have about 6 minutes to debrief when we get back. And the scenarios are on slide 5. I'll let you all read through them and decide which one you want to do in your groups. But does anyone have any questions before I send you to your groups? Okay, well, I am putting you in your groups now, and you should be prompted to join. Okay, so scenario 1, I really want to progress in my career, and it's not clear to me what I need to do for a promotion to the next level. What should I do? How should I talk with my manager about this? Did any group discuss this scenario, and is there anything you would like to share?
Yeah, I'll go. I think we were kind of talking about how does the manager respond to the question versus how should the team member respond to it, and typically conversations like that get broken up into 4 pieces. Your manager will more likely than not ask you, are you asking for more responsibility in your job? Do you want more money? Do you want to grow professionally, which might be a career ladder change? Or do you just want a promotion? And I think before you have that conversation with your manager, you should be really clear about which one of these 4 are important to you. The promotion processes typically in every company are time-based. You don't get promotion randomly. It's like every once a year or once or twice a year. So for those, there's always a process. You should look at the process. You could look at the job ladders. You should look at the pre-evaluation that you have to do. You should prepare your candidacy with evidence. You should probably get advocates and champions within the organization to vouch for you, if not write a recommendation for you. All these are part of your candidacy. Generally, promotions aren't at the decision of the manager, right? The manager then has to convince the overall management. There might be a committee, there might be a group consensus that has to be reached. So it's never going to be a binary conversation. And the more you prepare, the better you prepare, the more likely your chances are. Anyway, that's the short amount we got from our team.
I think that makes sense. Going in with like what you want out of the promotion is helpful. Did any other groups talk about scenario 1?
Group 2 did?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. Well, I'll defer. Go ahead. We'll come back.
We had a conversation about what happens if you approach your manager about a promotion or even just career development conversation, and they're not very receptive to it. So all of us in the group had experienced this at one time or another. And, you know, there were some ideas. So in one of the specific scenarios, the idea was having a desire to set some specific attainable and measurable goals, so that it was a bit more clear on what the criteria would be to go to the next level. And management was very, very uncomfortable with that. And so, hey, what can you do in that scenario? And so there were a few options that we came up with. One was very much like Nima said, come prepared, come with your set of what you think the goals should be. And you've asked around the org and you've done your research. And so we said that, that's one way you could come to that conversation. And then, hey, we've all had a difficult manager here or there. And so the resources to help you out are to go to people group or your HRBP, to go to your skip. It's essentially to escalate if, it's really a challenge, or potentially to start looking around, whether it's within the org or outside of the org, if you really have just a bad manager. So hopefully we don't have any of those here.
All right, group 2 did as well. We had mentioned about bringing, basically communications, right? First and foremost, make yourself known that this is something that you want to do, that you're passionate about. So things that are in place right now that you can do that are one-on-ones. And we mentioned making sure that you're definitely saying that to your direct manager, that there is interest there so that it's recognized. There was a bit of a difference of opinion in regards to, do you just stop there or do you also elevate it up? I do know that there are skip levels and there's other ways of being able to continue to elevate that message up so that it's on multiple people's radars. One said no, one said yes, and I guess the rest as well had an opinion, but that was something that was brought up. And then the communicate and document and people operations processes, such as the 360 report. So now not only is it been communicated, but you have it documented. D mentioned seek other resources from GitLab, promotion docs, job family resources, update your job description. And I will defer to anybody else in the group if there was something else that should have been added. Cool beans.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on to scenario 2. So we have some time to discuss that one as well. So I don't want to become a people manager, but I still want to progress. What should I be thinking about? How should I talk to my manager about this?
So I can go for group 5. This was the question we decided to discuss, and really we came up with more questions. So, there's the traditional path where you can take a look at everything as GitLab has defined it, see what exists. Once you've determined what you're interested in, then of course having the discussion with your manager, and maybe it's more of a lateral move that you're looking to do. But then the challenge is what to do when maybe your organization doesn't have a super clearly defined group of job families, when you don't know what that would look like. Maybe it's not documented, or maybe it doesn't exist. So that was a bit of an unanswered question for us. And then we were also wondering, is it common to have situations where someone has like a more senior title, but they don't manage people? So maybe educating ourselves on that and understanding, again, what are the options that exist if you're not looking for a more traditional people manager role. So those were the thoughts that we had.
And we also had, group 6 also had scenario 2, but we were pretty much on a very similar track as what Pilar just said. We were more about considering the options, research what might be available to you, and consider that there are, while you might not be looking for a manager role, there are often leadership opportunities still available that you could consider.
Definitely. Great points. So we're going to go ahead and move to breakout 2, just to make sure we have time to get through all these breakouts. So again, same instructions as last time. There will be 2 scenarios. Pick one. If you have time, go to the second one. You can utilize the agenda to take notes. You'll have 6 minutes, and then the scenarios are on slide 9. So I will go ahead and put you into your rooms. Hi, welcome back.
Hi.
All right, so scenario 1. In the past, I had a career development plan, but my manager couldn't offer me much guidance. I'm not comfortable speaking to my manager about my career aspirations anymore. How should I approach this? How should I, or should I talk to my manager about this? I think this kind of relates to what William was talking about last time a bit too. But did any group talk about this one?
Group 6 took scenario 1. I don't know if anyone else did. So we actually looked at this from sort of 2 different perspectives. One is, I guess we're giving the manager benefit of the doubt and they just weren't quite sure how to coach this person. And in that situation, then we were hoping that the person could be, the IC could be upfront with their manager in this aspect and say, you know, we've tried, I've got some plans, it doesn't seem to be working. And then maybe they could find a mentor or something to that effect that might be able to help them along that path that they're trying to do. If the manager can't do it, or at least the manager can help them find somebody that can. And then the other side was you could also view this as a communication breakdown where there's really just the manager's something not right with the manager's ability to coach this person. So in that case, then you might need to go up a level and talk to the manager's manager in like a skip level to see if there's anything they can do. If you're not comfortable being able to speak to your manager in that case, then that might be the route to take.
I think you had great points. Does anyone else have anything to add about scenario 1? If not, we can go to scenario 2. So scenario 2, I would love to explore different roles and move from my current department to another department or division. How do I go about it? And how do I talk to my manager about this?
Cool, I can start if y'all like. So we discussed this in terms of like first being really clear why we want to make the move. Is it because we aren't being challenged in the current position? Is it something about the team dynamics? Is it that we're just really excited about, you know, what the other department is has as goals? So first, being clear. The second is to like schedule coffee chats with that team and really get to know people in like the larger department, but then also on any specific team that you might want to like move to. I've heard of things like learning internships that can happen at GitLab. So I've seen a few of those. So even if there isn't an opportunity open already, you might be able to structure it so that it's either a part-time thing that you do or get like a short term. And then I've also heard that, so it goes in line with a little bit of what Samantha just put in chat, where people can change their job family and kind of alter their own one like position now, but two, like you might be able to suggest job family updates for other teams. And so in that way, kind of start to create your path towards that. You want to make sure that you identify the skills that are needed to make the transition and what gaps you have, and then use the resources that GitLab already provides to help get you there. And then a piece of advice that I received was to keep your own promotion doc. And that way you can suggest your promotion or your move to your manager and everybody else. And then Chris had a great point too of just like building champions on that team that you want to move to, get them excited about the possibility of working with you closer so that they advocate for the move as well. So those are our tips and discussion points.
We had a lot of similar points, and make sure you're getting doing some research on what the options are. So as far as actionable items, we thought, set up a coffee chat with someone in the group that you're interested in. Take a look at any open recs so that you can really understand what the requirements are and also what the need is. And then also leveraging Modern Health. If you're maybe not necessarily comfortable with having a conversation with your manager, you just want a third party, a neutral third party to kind of talk you through that, since they do have some career coaching available there. And in general, just making sure the messaging is positive, right? So it's not about necessarily being unhappy in a role. It's more about wanting to explore something new and, making sure you're really crisp on why the move is something that you're looking at, just to help make it a smooth experience overall.
Chime in. Say a lot of the similar things we said. Talk to folks in that org. You could do internship for learning. You could do maybe something even smaller like that, where like maybe just shadow a person for a little while, so that you could get to know or understand it. You could be at different levels where maybe you really, really know you want to go do that thing, or maybe you just want to experience or get a taste of it to see if you want to do it. So there's all of those types of paths. One of the things that we chatted about is why a team member may or may not raise a desired transition with their manager. And in some cases, it might be like, okay, they're not comfortable with their manager, and that's kind of unfortunate. And some of the other options like coaching, like actually modern health, maybe even talking to a career coach. How do I chat with my manager about this? Skip and all of those kind of resources. But even if you have a good relationship with your manager, all of us had kind of seen or experienced where in some cases, it may not be that the team member wants to leave their role per se, but they see an opportunity and think, okay, well, this might work out, or this could be a good opportunity. But if that opportunity doesn't work out, I just want to go back to my role and I want to keep operating it, and I have no desire to leave. And in that case, they might tell very, very few people and want to keep it discreet. So that they're not advertising something like I'm not happy in my role, because they are. So that could be a reason why folks might want to be discreet, even to not tell their manager or other folks on their team that they're applying for a role, because maybe they are just happy in their job and they want to keep going if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, those are all really great points that you all made. We're going to go ahead and move to the next breakout. We're like really sticking to time today. This is amazing. So breakout 3. Oh, okay. Again, same rules as last time, or same guidelines as last time. 6 minutes, pick one. If you have time, go to the next one. The scenarios are on slide 13. So I will go ahead and send you to your rooms. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had great conversations. So we'll go ahead and jump into scenario 1. So that scenario was, I want to continue developing, but I'm not interested in climbing the ladder. How can I continue to develop at my current level? And how should I talk with my manager about this? Did any group discuss this?
My group discussed it a little bit. It's something that I've done a little bit in the past, and as we were kind of reading the scenario, it's hard to kind of put that on a manager and say, hey, how can I continue to develop? It's a lot easier when I can kind of identify some of the skills that I might be lacking in, and kind of bring some, courses or workshops or whatever it may be to my manager and say, hey, this is what I was thinking. Do you approve of this? Would you tweak anything about it? But that's a lot easier than just trying to say, hey, how can I continue to develop? Like, just kind of guide me in the right direction.
Yeah, completely agree. It's great to go with a plan.
We talked about it in group 3. So we talked about a few parts of it. One, like within the context of just current work, we talked about how it's helpful to keep record or just awareness of the work that you are doing and the projects you've worked on, and the value of those, so that there's sort of this like consistent understanding of that value provided is helpful. We also talked about how like it's helpful to nonetheless still have some sort of career path, right? So like make sure you and your manager have defined your job role, and that like there are roles on a career path that are appropriate for that growth, and that there's some sort of definition and clarity there. I'm certain one of the things we talked about too is that I'm kind of currently in this position. Like I feel like in a staff role, in a staff engineer role on the data team, really enjoying it. But I see some places where I can really sort of flesh out some skills that I haven't had a chance to develop previously in my career. And so some things that I'm also working on are like, I need to find some mentors in various places that can sort of be my subject matter experts for those particular areas that I want to get better at. And so I can have some clear goals, but also like measurable progress measured by someone besides me on doing that.
Chris, do you want to go next?
Well, we have question 2.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I should have been more specific. Thank you.
No worries. Well, we can move to scenario 2 if everyone's ready.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
So into basically talks about I want to progress and continue developing. I'm not sure what I'm interested in. How do I figure out that direction? And one member in our group talked about that as something that they're challenged with and they're trying to figure out. And instantly when they started talking about it, they mentioned how they outreached into things that are available within GitLab, and one of them being like the e-group and shadowing with Sid and so forth. They could have said anything, but that's what bubbled up. And so that's what you're interested in. And as long as what it is that you put yourself into gives you that stimulation, that reflection and things like that's what you should be passionate to drive and continue to move towards. And that was pretty much the reflection point that we gave out of that. And for me personally, that's something that I had to come to a lot of realization in within my career, because on the channel side, a lot of people go, how did you even get in the channel? Right. And I'm really big into like motivational books and listening to all that stuff in the morning and everything. And it came to the realization for me relating to sports, right? Like I love sports and I love executing and I love things like that. But in sports, I love the assist more than the goal, because there was a teamwork element to it that I would help people succeed, and I succeeded along the way. I knew I wanted to be a part of something like that, and channels fit that perfectly. And so I feel like that's the same kind of message here within that one question on what drives you within that. So I'll pause for feedback.
Yeah, group 6, we did scenario 2 as well. And our conversation started by explicitly stating that's okay, you don't know, right? But you have to take ownership of your own career. Don't put that in the hands of others. Don't expect others to do that work for you, right? It needs to be from within, right? From there, explore different options, right? Talk to your manager about things you love to do, try to recognize, do some self-discovery, right? And then try to weigh in towards the things you love and explore them via classes, talking to others, right? Whatever it is that you can get your hands on. Create a roadmap. Right? A lot of people at GitLab do that, right? Create your own roadmap at GitLab in a personal project, create epics of areas of exploration, issues reflecting the actions you're taking towards those areas, and make sure to write down your learnings, how you felt, right? Was there an area you wanted to continue to explore or not? Right? And execute on it.
Group 5 also talked about this scenario. And like Ugo mentioned, I think we focus more around the self-discovery piece of it. Like, how do you figure out what you're good at and what you want to do? And so our discussion was more along those lines. So there's a website that has a free character survey. So we thought that might be a good place to start. Volunteer work is always a way where you can get exposure to different jobs, different industries, and that might help you find something you may not have even known you're good at. Asking your manager what they think you're good at, and then also can they give you a special project or a challenge that's going to help you try something new. Look at a community course class listing. What jumps out at you? Maybe that's an indication that that's something that you would want to try out. And then of course, asking your friends and families, what do they think your strengths are? What do they see you excelling at as ways to kind of get that outside view of what might be good for you?
Yeah, great points. And I think also paying attention to what people like say you're good at, like, or compliment you on is a great way to find out like what you're good at as well. And something we talked about last week is identifying what you like to do and also what your energy vampires are, and understanding that you can be good at things that you don't necessarily like to do, but it is helpful to understand like what you're good at.
One other little thing that we discussed quickly on group 6 was that, sometimes I've been perusing LinkedIn Learning, right? And I tend to dismiss it because a few classes that I've done in my own area, it's like, oh yeah, I know all that. That's shallow, right? However, if you wanted to explore other areas, they're short classes. They're good for that specifically because they tend to be short, shallowish areas for someone that is deep in expertise, but great for someone to get a quick intro into an area that I'm not familiar with.
Yes, for sure. I love LinkedIn Learning. All right, well, we will go ahead and wrap up. Thank you everyone for all your participation. This was a really awesome session. So just wanted to review quick career development month. So last week we had live learning sessions on how to use the individual growth plan. So if you're interested in learning more about that, that is on the career development handbook page, and you can go and watch that. Also, there are some resources to assist you, and that includes the individual growth plan and accomplishment tracker. So the accomplishment tracker is really set up how a promotion doc is set up. So it's sorted out by value. Okay, so we do have the like an individual growth plan learning path in GitLab Learn too. So there's some different resources in that path to help you complete it. And then for the achievement tracker, we do have a video that kind of walks you through how to get it set up. So I think that can be really helpful for you if you don't have one set up right now. But does anyone have any questions in the 2 minutes that we have left? Awesome. Well, there is a feedback form in the agenda in the questions section. So if you could take some time and fill that out, that would be awesome. But thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day.